Good evening and welcome to Jackal Garage. I'm your host, Mike, and I'm flying solo tonight. Jeff had some internet issues at his part of the world, and he couldn't join us. So I'm just going to kind of be by myself. That's kind of what it's like to be solitaire, solo, going alone. Anyways, not a whole lot going on. I'm just going to go ahead and hang out for a little bit, see if anyone jumps on and joins us and then I'll start diving into all of the different builds and things that I have going on my desk. It seems that my car builds keep kind of piling up as things that I want to get done, and things just pile up. So anywho, let me flick on some lights. Let me switch some cameras around. Sorry about the lights, you guys. They are super bright, but they do come in handy for the desk. So a couple new cars I want to kind of show everybody. I was over at Target doing some car shopping, and I found this twinning and winning car. And at first it's it's a buggy, but it's really kind of cool just with the way it's designed. First of all, it has really cool wheels on it, which is always awesome. Hey Todd, I see you joined us. How you doing, buddy? Has some really cool wheels on it, and it just has some nice details. It would make a great Gaslands car. Simply, with the hood part there, where you could take the plastic out and you can put some guns coming out of that, or just with the body style itself. It's just got a lot going on. So just another neat little car that they've got coming out. This is new for 2021. So, hey, Steve, how are you, buddy? The other car, which is one of my favorite cars, is the Erikenstein. So they've got the new colored Erikenstein out. And this is kind of more of a shop looking truck because they put the Hot Wheels motors like symbol on it and some flames. It's painted, on the picture, it looks kind of blackish, but it's actually like a dark olive green. And again, I love the Erikenstein as a vehicle. It's just got a lot going on with it. So look for these if you're into them. This is the new one. I'm kind of hoping that maybe I can take off the little door decal and keep the flame lines and hopefully kind of make a flame paint job on it. Might be kind of cool. We'll see. Worst case scenario, I definitely can do it to the fenders and just remove it from the doors. Can't stay. Just want to drop in and say hi. Happy streaming, guys. Well, thanks, Steve. Have a great day, buddy. So anyways, that's the new Erikenstein. So let's jump into projects that are on the bench. So this has been something I've been working on last week. You may have all witnessed the terrible, terrible disaster that was me trying to put this exhaust system in place. It was pretty terrible. I went ahead and changed the way I was doing it, and I just kind of glued them to the side of the underbody here and put on a big blob of green stuff to create some sort of a protection and some surface just to keep the pipes in place. And they kind of look, I kind of like the way they look for this particular build. And since I had the green stuff out, I went ahead and put a bunch of green stuff right through here to create more of a glue surface, so that when I glue the insert piece in place, I have more contact space. And sanded that all down, because originally the only contact space I had was this right here, this line, this silver line you see. That was all I had there, plus the plastic up here. So I just wanted more. So what we're gonna do tonight is basically I'm gonna line everything up and attach the base to the insert, because I want to make sure I have everything lined up nice and neat, have everything where I want it, get that glued in place, And then after that, I need to do some custom work up through here just to make it look a little bit more solid or more filled in, and then decide what I'm going to do for weapons. So this is moving along quite nicely. I'm still working on the old Ford truck. Tonight, what I want to do is I just want to put some of the screen mesh that I like to use for the windows to cover up those, and then this will be ready for paint. I've already got the interior and the base of this already painted up. Plus, I'm still working on David's Erikenstein. I went ahead and got the front wheels glued in place. Oh, that one's turning, so obviously that one's not glued in place. But I do got the front wheels in place, all measured up. Tonight, what we want to do is we want to put the back wheels on, and I'm hoping David may join us so that I can talk to him a little bit about the back wheels before I put them on, so he understands what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Obviously, I need to glue that back in place real fast before I start messing with this car. Ooh, hey, that's glued on tight. Let me just put a dab of glue here. Get this glued in place. And I'll let that dry. And I just broke the very tip of my Zap-A-Gap off, so that's a real bummer. That means this bottle's pretty much going to be trash here pretty soon because all of this stuff will dry out. So, bummer. It happens with Zap-A-Gap if you're not careful and keeping it clean. So, anyways, we're going to work on that. Also, this is the Ford Bronco that I am painting for my wife. This is the 2021 Ford Bronco. And I got the body painted up in the kind of robin blue egg, but I do need to go in and touch up some of the white. I have a few spots where kind of hard to see with the white and the lights. So, but you can kind of see it right there where I messed up and got some of the paint kind of bled through my masking tape. So I need to clean that up. Oh, it is so pretty. Hey, Andy, how you doing, babe? So anyways, I need to clean up some of the little parts on this and get this in motion. So that will be something I will slowly work on. And one of the next big projects I'm going to undertake is this bad boy. So I kind of showed it off a little bit on the last show, but during the week I went ahead and did some chopping and got things kind of lined up and ready to go. But I think this is going to be a really cool build. And basically, this vehicle it's a Matchbox. What are they calling this? I have no idea. It's just some military vehicle that they have in the Matchbox, like a box set that I picked up. And I really liked it, but it was not really to scale. It was a little small for what it was. So I figured I'd take advantage of that. And I'm just going to add the Erikenstein front end to it. So what I need to do is I need to lower down the front end a little bit just to make better contact with the existing chassis and get it all glued together. So this is going to be one of the next big projects that I start undertaking because this is another big chop job. And I really like the way it's going to look. It's just going to be different, unique kind of a vehicle, especially with this Erikenstein front end. So that will be the next big project that I start chopping away at. Plus, I pulled out 2 more cool cars that I'm going to build up for Darren as part of the collection he's going to have at the shop. And I just found these out in my. Hey, David, how you doing, buddy? I was hoping you were going to join us. I'm going to start the Erikenstein in just a second, and I want to talk about the wheels for a little bit that you printed up for me. So as I bought these, it's just part of my collection, just some old Hot Wheels. This is it says Sweet 16, 1970, but This might be an old card, but it looks like one of the Christmas specials. And this one is Bright Speed. So I have no idea what this one is. So anyways, I'm going to mess around with these for Darren just to give them to him for a shot. Not a lot of conversion going to take place, mostly painting. For this one, I'll probably just put a couple barrels right here for machine guns. On this one, I haven't quite decided, but I thought with this trunk opening up in the back, it might be pretty cool to maybe fill this in with some plastic card, put something, either drop weapons coming out the back or maybe some guns, and figure out something cool for the front. But those are down the road a little bit. They're just sitting on my desk. Since I have David here, I want to go ahead and talk to David about the wheels that he printed up. Now they're fantastic wheels. I really like the rims and the design that he did for the rims. The challenge I have though is they're thin. If you look at the wheels, they're pretty thin. And for the back here, I just don't think they're going to look right if I just put one wheel on. So what my plan is I'm going to do dualies in the back with the wheels. So you'll need to print me up another set of wheels, David. But I think it'll look best if I do dualies in the back, just simply because of how thin these wheels are. Now, on average, I think these wheels will look fantastic, especially on a car like this, where the thin wheels will just cover up nicely, and they have the fenders to cover up the thickness of the wheels. But on this is all open wheeled. And if I was to just put them on, I'd have to stick them far out from the body, and it might not look quite right. So I figured I would just go ahead and put dualies on the back. I'll just take the extra wheels that I got from you, and we'll just double them up in the back, kind of making a dually look, which I think will look fantastic. And then that way, let me get these all out. I will also make a wider batch. Yeah, you may want to consider that, especially I know where you're going with all this. So if you go with a wider batch, or if you just copy the one that you already made and just make them wider. But I think putting the dualies back here is just going to look a heck of a lot nicer, and it's going to fill that space up right there. So that way, when I got the top on, it just won't be the thin wheels sticking out. You know, I could probably do that, but I just visually, I just don't think it's going to look right. So I'd rather just go ahead and do the dualies, make it all look thick, and it actually it's going to add a lot to the cars also. Just having a set of dualies back here. So that's what we're going to do tonight, is we're going to add the dualies. So we'll start with that before I move on to my other projects. Super easy, modified once. Cool. Well, as long as it's super easy, I just make them a little bit wider. You know, definitely offer the thinner ones. I think they have their place for a lot of the builds. I can have them to you by Friday. Sweet. But yeah, I think the dually, you know, just widen some out, because these are just going to be a little bit wider than the Erikenstein wheels, which I think is just going to look perfect on this build. Yeah, and if we can hook up on Friday, what am I doing Friday? I think I'm going to be out and about, just putzing around. I don't think I have anything particular in mind for Friday. So just let me know, and no rush. You don't have to. If you want to wait, you can wait. But I would definitely want to get this going for you. And I know I need my file. Too much stuff. I will be picking up the new Underworld's band on IO on Saturday if you want to meet there. Saturday, I'm with the wife. We've got, I'm sure we're going to have stuff going on. Nah, man, we'll hook up. It's you don't need to rush. Actually, we'll probably be playing at the shop on a Friday. Tim and I played on Friday. It was awesome. It's been so long since we played, and we just had a really good time. It was just good to be at a store physically playing a game, and just it was just fun all the way around. And we had a good time. Played a little, just played a little Gaslands. Kind of refamiliarized ourselves with the rules. We both just certain things I forgot about completely just because it's been so long. And had a good time. I won. Now, I don't know if you guys saw on Discord, if you were on the Discord channel, I posted a picture of my Gasland shirt that I picked up at one of the conference. It's okay, David. When I know you work on Friday, but maybe we'll get a chance to go. I need to, once the shops start allowing demos to start taking place, we'll be over at IOG and some of the other stores, Funkatronic Rex, and also the Dragon Gaming Center and all those places. Just kind of doing demos of Gaslands and spreading the word of the joy of Gaslands. So, and I also taught one of the guys, Jacob, who works over at the Dungeon Gaming Center. I gave him kind of a quick run through on how to play the game, because they actually sell the rule book over there. And I figured it'd be kind of nice if he knew how to play the game. So we did a quick run through on how to play it. And then just in conversation, we started talking about squigs and talking about squig racing. I think I mentioned a little bit on Saturday's show, and came up with a way of how we could do squig racing using the old Speed Freak rules, and they're really not that old, but we could use the Speed Freak rules to do squig racing, which I think would just be hilarious. On top of that, we're going to have to use the squig dice. And if you don't remember the squig dice, when the new Goblin Codex came out, they released rubber dice, probably the worst dice ever for rolling because they bounced all over the place. Awesome for me because you guys know my addiction to dice, and I love watching them bounce around. But I think we're gonna because I bought 2 sets of those. I think it's gonna be kind of a mandate that you have to use those dice in this squig game, just to add a little bit more excitement to the overall game. So, David, what I'm doing right now, never heard of squig racing. Squig racing is an old, from like 1997. It was at a games day, and it was actually printed in a white dwarf, and it was just a fun set of rules for racing squigs. And they actually had little, I don't want to call them chariots. They were more like what you would see in racing. I forget the type of racing it is, but it's just like a little pedestal or stand that you're on the back and being pulled around by a horse. It's a special kind of horse racing. Anyways, so that's basically what they did. And they did some very special release miniatures for the games day. And those miniatures are next to impossible to find. And when you do find them, they're like on eBay or something like that, they're ridiculously priced. I mean, ridiculously priced, because it was just a one-of-a-kind thing. But all it is just a fun, goofy game. Squigs don't really run. They kind of bounce. And, just neat stuff. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the Speed Freak rules and convert them into squig racing rules. So that, the Speed Freak rules have all the templates and stuff for movement, just like Gaslands. We actually at first talked about using Gaslands as the rule system. However, I thought the Speed Freak system was a little bit better for what we were trying to accomplish, simply because the Speed Freak rules, the templates are zigzaggy and more chaotic, I guess is the best word to use, than the Gaslands rules, which are templates which are nice and smooth. So yeah, I'm gonna start working on that. See, look at that, David. Again, what I was doing is I drilled out the hole in the center that you created, made it a little bit bigger to accept this brass rod. So that's basically what I was doing. But yeah, so that's a project that I'm going to start doing. Believe it or not, I'm actually kind of excited about it. Harness racing, is that what it's called, Joe? Harness racing, cool. Yeah, they were just on a little platform. So what we're going to do is, if you're not familiar with Speed Freaks, basically in Speed Freaks, you can take a buggy, and then you take a couple bikes, and you're just racing around just like Gaslands. To be honest with you, it's just a race game in the 40K world with orcs. It's all orc driven. There's no chaos. There's no space marines. There's none of the other stuff. It's strictly an orc pastime. And then, so what we're going to do is we're going to use the fantasy squigs as bikes. So you'd have like the squig riders, or the hoppers would be your boss, and then you just have a couple squigs. And then with the new model that they released on Saturday, they showed on Saturday, that would be the buggy. And it's just going to be close combat. There'd be no shooting, strictly close combat. Yeah, the hole in there. Glue. Yeah. No, I love it. I love the fact that you gave us a center point, so we knew where to drill. That was perfect. But this is what I'm creating right here, and I think that's going to look a heck of a lot better on the back of this. Well, let me just show you. I'm all about the visuals. So here we go. Whoop. So obviously you can see how your tires look, and they look fantastic. But this is the visual part that I was talking about here. I just think having the dually there adds so much more meat to the back of this. And it just makes it look a little bit more in tune for what the car is. So that's why I figured the dualies would be the way to go. Hope you like it. Still got to figure out what color I'm going to paint your car and all that good stuff. But one step at a time. So anyways, so squig racing will become a thing. I know Joe's already volunteered me to start doing the game, so I'm looking forward to it. So you do like it. Fantastic. So what we're going to do now is I just need to lower the overall axle. So we're just going to file it down some. And that way it just drops down just a little bit more than where it was. Because I want to make sure it clears this back part right here. Granted, I could also trim some of that off. So yeah, we're gonna do a little. I'm messing around with the rules this weekend. Just gonna kind of, at home, just push around some. I have plenty of squigs. I have plenty of squigs in my collection of stuff. Will this fit inside there? No. So I have plenty of squigs to mess around with. I'm sure, Joe, you probably have a few too. So yeah. But I thought the idea seems fun, and it kind of fits. So one of the things I like to do is I like to play what's known as like convention games. And if you've never been to a convention, I strongly recommend it. It's a lot of fun, but Joe probably has been to conventions. I don't know if you've been to a convention, David. Convention games are, Usually just kind of wonky games that don't take a lot of thought. Nope. You you ate them. How were they? Did you cook them on the Barbie? Squigs on the Barbie. But convention games are just kind of are just fun games that don't take a lot of learning, to where you can kind of teach it quick. That's why Gaslands, I think, is an excellent convention game, because it wouldn't take a lot. It doesn't take a lot to teach someone how to play the game and get them started in the game. Salty. Ugh. That's never good, Joe. Salty squig, bad. So that's why I think the squig race, Gen Con in Origins 20 years ago. 20 years ago. Okay, so you're kind of familiar. You probably saw some kind of crazy games there. Not overly serious type of games where people just played and had a good time and was easy to teach the rules. I am old. We are all old, David. And we're not old. We're just seasoned. We are seasoned. That's the word we're supposed to use. We are seasoned people. And there we go. I can make it work. So, anyways, that's what Squig Racing is going to be all about. It's just going to be kind of just a goofy, fun little game to play at the shop or at conventions. And it's not going to be a super serious game. It's just going to be kind of a goofy, fun game to have a good time with, that anybody can learn to play. Oops, I'm getting glue all over myself. That's always the worst. Salty. How do seasoned people taste? What's the salt? For you, Joe, it's a little bit of salt and a little bit of sarcasm. So you got it down, buddy. So we taste fantastic. That one wheel just wants to bug me. I cut the axle just a little short, so it doesn't have a lot to grab onto, but it's there. All right, so I'm going to let that dry for a little bit before I glue it in place, but that's kind of what we're looking at right there, is a nice pair of dualies on the back. I still need to be able to snap. There they go. Get them snapped down in place. We'll let that dry up before I... Number one thing that drives me, that I mess up the most, is I keep fidgeting with stuff. I just don't let stuff dry, so that's always a problem. Anyway, Squig Racing, get ready for it. I'm excited about it. It's just, and I love crazy games, so... All right, so what we're going to do next is we're going to continue working on the bus while the wheels dry for the Erikenstein. And this is the insert that originally came with the bus, the black part. Obviously, I glued the white piece on here as a platform, and that goes in there, and that's what's creating my base to hold this in place. Obviously, this doesn't belong to this. This was a snowplow, so it wasn't anything to do with that. I also added the bumper back on. I forgot to show you guys that earlier. Just wanted to add a little bit of detail back here, so I put the bumper back on, added a couple bolts showing that it's like being bolted on. Plus, that's going to be the rear weapon, which is probably going to be probably a flamethrower, or maybe that's where they're going to drop the smoke bombs or oil or whatever. I'm just like a drop weapon. I didn't see any reason to get rid of it. It was just kind of cool. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to smear glue all over here and get this all lined up and just let it sit overnight, so that way I can then take this all out as one piece. And then when I get ready to final assembly, I'll just fill it in with glue, because there's a lot of spots where it touches under here. Fill it in with glue, and that's what's going to hold it together, I hope. That's the plan. So let me get some glue on this. And this is just one of those things where I just need to really eye it up. I don't get a lot of... Oh, that's the end of it. So I got one shot, but it looks good. You look at it from the front, I think I got it lined up pretty good. If I have to pop it off, I can. But it grabbed a hold of the green stuff quickly. So, but hey, there it is. It is a little off in the front though. And this is where I go a little too nutty. All right. So we go round 2. All right, I think I got it this time. It was just slightly off in the front, and not enough to where anybody would really care. But it's one of those things, when it's your build, you notice that. And it's always going to be one of those things that's going to be in the back of your mind. So I just wanted to make sure I got it nice and straight. And what I'm looking at is like, here's the center. I'm just making sure all my center points line up as best they can, because I am marrying 2 parts that don't belong together. So, all right. So that's where that's at. So this just needs the night to dry, because I used a lot of Zap-A-Gap. So I'll let that dry overnight. And then back onto this. So I feel the wheels are dry. So this is what we're looking at for the Erikenstein. Again, just lining everything up. It looks like the wheels are slightly bent up. That could have been the piece of brass rod was just a little bit bent. Maybe I pushed it in too hard. What we're going to do is we're going to file off a little bit of this down here. I think the wheels are getting pushed out because I've made a really tight fit. And I think they're just hitting some of this excess plastic down here. So we're just going to file that off real quick. And that should resolve the issue. All right. Perfect. All right. I love it. I think this looks perfect. I think you're going to love this car, David, when you get it. This has got a great look to it. We need to discuss what kind of weapons you want on it. And if you had any ideas of how you wanted me to build it out, man, give me some input. It's a truck, so it can have a couple weapons. I think trucks have 2 weapon slots. I could cover up the hood just to give it a cleaner look on the hood. and I can cover up the sunroof if you want me to. I could do like I did on Darren's car, put a scoop on, put a intake up here, put a guy up here, and have him shooting a machine gun out. But I already did that, so we don't want to copy that. Anyways, if you're think about it, if you got any weapon things that you want to see in the car, let me know. But I think this one is going to get ready really quick, just like anything. So there's little, when you guys do your cars, just check for flashing. Like there's a little bit of flashing right down here in all these I don't know what the tubing, I guess, would be the term to use. I'll think about it. Yeah, think about it. Let me know. I'll do the weapons next week. If you don't have the rules, just let me know. We'll figure something out. But I have plenty of weapons to choose from. I need to check the rule book. Okay. Yeah, mostly, machine guns are always a popular choice, obviously. But if you want any drop weapons on the back here, I can put a drop weapon. Make it look kind of cool. Maybe a rocket launcher on the rear frame. Yeah, we could do a rocket launcher. Just like right here on the back. I could actually, because I can elevate it up so that it's more straight. I see you found that truck. Actually, Steve, thanks for joining us, buddy. Yeah, this truck that you sent me the message about, this is the new Erikenstein paint job. So when you sent that message, I was like, I've never seen that one before. So I thought it might have been a treasure hunt. It just turns out it's just a new paint job for the Erikenstein. So I got me a couple. Actually, I have way too many of these. Like catch. I don't know who that is, David. So, but yeah, it's a cool truck. It's a cool vehicle to work for. This is the one I'm making for David because we just put his 3D printed wheels on the body, and we went with dualies in the back and singles in the front, so it actually has a really cool look to it when it's all put together. Just looks mean because those wheels are just the perfect size for this car. So right now I'm just kind of clean. There's a lot of flashing in the in the tubing work here. So you just want to take a quick file to it and get it out. Of course you have way too many. And that would be my wife checking in on me, seeing all my secrets and how many cars I have. Yes, I have one. I have way too many cars. They had the rack of rockets in the truck bed. Okay. It did a lot of damage. Okay. Rack of rockets in the truck bed. So we can go two different ways for rockets. Okay, you guys, this is the implements of destruction or carnage. Either one works. And this is the sprue that you can get from North Star Miniatures, military figures, or you can just go over to IOG and buy one off the shelves. But this is the rocket launcher that they have in this pack. And let me cut it out for you real fast so we can kind of see what it looks like. So it's a 5-stack. Let's zoom in here. Kind of legendary. I'm just not up on all my stuff. So this is the rocket. It's 3 on top, 1 on the bottom. And I can try to drill out the barrels, or you can just say there's a cap on them. But then it has a really nice base right there. So if we're looking to put it on the rack or on the back, depends on how far back you kind of want to go with it. But you want to make sure that it's somewhat level with the roof. So that way, so I'm thinking probably right there might be the ideal spot. let's get some poster tack so you don't have to see my big ugly fingers. And this might be the way to go. So that's kind of what you'd be looking at. Oops. It would be straight, of course. And then now if you went further up with it, which would just be more of a cosmetic thing or a mechanical thing, because somebody would have to reload the rockets. And if I covered up the sunroof and mounted it to the top here, we could say the person reloads them, because I can cut the piece of plastic out here and leave this hollow. We could just say the person reloads from the bottom if you want to get into that kind of technicality of doing this. But I kind of like it either way. This looks a little bit better in the back, though. And then I would definitely cover up the sunroof. You actually like for that? Yeah, it does look good, but I would cover up the sunroof. I'll fill in the sunroof so that it's just part of the car body, and it won't ever be there. And what's neat about this particular weapon, on the sprue, you actually get extra missiles as well. So I could actually have some of the missiles just kind of sitting in the back, in the middle of the rear frame. So this would be the middle of the rear frame. That still works. You know, I could elevate it up a little bit so that it's a little bit more parallel. Agree on the sunroof. Yeah, I'll definitely cover the sunroof. I guess it's just a matter of where you want, like, what you consider the middle of the frame. I'm basing the middle of the frame on the mounting point of the weapon, so not actually the length of the tubes. Think right there, David? No need to make it parallel. Okay. If you're not worried about it being parallel, then I think I can make that happen. Rear frame looks better. All right. We got vote number 1 from Joe. Like artillery. Yes, it is like artillery. Where you have it now. All right. Then that's where I'll glue it down. Let me, again, that's the missile pod. And then I actually I got a couple extra missiles here. So what I might do is lay them down. I can cut off a few of them, and I'll lay them down so you can see them from the top inside that little cutout right there. With artillery, yes. But I'll put some extra missiles down there just for a visual thing, just so you can see some of the missiles laying down there. So, all right, perfect. Then that is what we will do, sir. So that was easy. Now I think like an ammo rack inside. It will be like a gun rack inside, but for missiles. Or attach them to the side of the frame. You mean like lay them down or have them sticking out? I could do that. I could lay them down there. Maybe have them tied down or something. I don't know. We'll see. Let's get this part done first and see how everything looks. Because you also have this nice platform right here. I could just imagine a bundle of rockets just attached to the front fenders right here with some like chain or something like that. Just very haphazard, but just a pile of missiles sitting there. Believe it or not, for giggles, where is that? So more on the sides. I play Imperialis or Aeronautica Imperialis, and I have a bunch of these old missiles from the planes I didn't put them on. So I could just make like a crate. I could make like a wooden crate right there and just throw a bunch of missiles in it and just have like a pile of missiles sitting in there, just for fun. So they look like they're roped to the side. Okay, all right, we can do that. I know exactly what you're talking about. Let me see where they're at. Let me cut one off real fast. I got plenty of these, so maybe we'll just do like a couple on the side, but that crate would be great. All right. But something like this, and then I'll just get some thin wire and just wrap it around and make it look like they're tied down. I'll cut that flat piece off, and I'll just have them look like they're tied down to the side right there. So, all right. We've got direction, and that's the important part. And I'll work on that crate as well. I think the crate would be hilarious. Very orcish in that sense, with the crate. So, okay. Well, then I'm going to leave this alone for right now. We know what we're going to do with that. We got a plan. I always like having a plan. And we've got this thing it's kind of dry. So we know where this is at. And from here, I got to figure out what weapons I'm going to put on this. And I think what I'm going to end up doing is I'm just going to drill out these front headlights. And I'm just going to mount machine guns in the front. And then I'll have my weapon in the back as well. I just haven't decided. This is going to be a sponsored vehicle because it's going to have tracks. And tracked vehicles, it's going to be more of a military thing. So I'm going to use the sponsorship for that. Because these are the tracks that actually go on it. So you get kind of an idea of the beast that I have created here. So that's kind of what that's all going to look like. Oops, kind of hard to see with the black and the glare and all that kind of stuff. So that's what that's going to look like. So I'm thinking I'm just going to drill these headlights out, and I'm just going to put some brass tubing in there and just going to make it look like machine gun barrels sticking out. Plus I have the weapon in the back. But what it gives me is this gorgeous flat surface. And I am going to go try to find a really cool fake tattoo. Those rub-on tattoos that you can get. And I'm just going to try to find a really cool piece of art, one of those tattoos, and put that there to just fill that spot with a cool image. Even if it's just like an iron cross or tiger head or something. But you can use those tattoos, those fake tattoos that people get out of like gumball machines and things like that, the little sticker ones. You can use those as decals. So that's what I'm going to do. So I think I might head up to Zia this weekend. I think Zia sells those fake tattoos, so I might have some options. If I can find a cool Motorhead one, you guys know how I feel about Motorhead. I'll put that all over it. All right, I'm going to get a drink of water, and then we'll get started on this. So we've already we've built the body. So here's the interior. We're just doing a couple tubes out the front to represent machine guns. I cleaned up the barrels. Obviously, I'll paint all that stuff up. And we were going to go dualies on this, but I wasn't happy with them. Now, this would have been another great car, David, for the dualies these dualies, because they aren't as wide as the tires that I was using. And that would have worked perfect on this car. So still keep with the original size tires that you've created, because I still think they have a lot of potential for car builds. It just, for what this particular one is, I think dualies were appropriate. And I think those would have looked perfect on the back of this. So anyways, but what we're going to do is we're going to add in screen meshing into the windows here. So, and this stuff is just on my little racks because I spray painted it. My little extra holding racks. So the screen mesh, this is just aluminum mesh. I get it over at the hobby store. I go to Hobby Lobby, pick it up. It's in the clay department, or where they sell the clay products, and it's a forming mesh. So it's aluminum. It's very flexible. It bends. It molds easily, and it's for forming something before you put clay on it. So I don't know what else to call it. It's just forming frame, I guess. So cut off a little piece. Again, just going to take my time, kind of measure this stuff up. And then we'll glue it in place. So I need to cut some of the side off here. And this is where things can get tricky. Because nothing ever really wants to cooperate. When you're building cars. All right, so it's hitting on the side, so it's just a matter of paying attention where everything's hitting and just cutting it down as you go. So it's not the most exciting thing to watch, but it is something that you do. Boy, it is really going to be difficult for me, isn't it? All right. Sorry, I was off screen probably. All right, so we're going to start with just doing a little dab of super glue, and then we'll move on from there. We just want to get it to hold in place while I manipulate the aluminum mesh around. And it's just going to take a little time. So we're just going to go nice and slow because I need to bend the sides down so that they hold in place. Don't feel bad about being off screen. Just been off screen. Oh, that's funny, Joe. Yes, Jeff has been off screen a lot longer than me today. Hopefully he gets his internet fixed. Gosh, we had an internet outage here not too long ago, and it was just terrible. I had nothing to do for hours. All right, so I'm going to get some more super glue down in here. Oh. And of course, everything had to go sideways. All right, so we're just going to start with that, leave that alone while it dries. So I told you guys, I nitpick and nitpick and nitpick everything, and I end up messing everything up in the long run. There, let's just do that. We'll get some zip kicker. Zip kicker. And we'll get this stuff to dry up pretty quick. All right, there it is. All right, so now I'm going to put some super glue right along here. I'm using a different super glue now because unfortunately I broke the top off of my zip kicker, or not off of my Zappa gap, so now that's all messed up. So I need something with a longer applicator so that I can actually get in there and do stuff with it. So you can see the screen on the front looks good, but obviously you can tell the screen on the side, it's all angled down simply because of the angle of the roof and how I put the screen meshing in. So what I'm going to do now is find my X-Acto blade. Let's get these corners to go in. And we will just cut that down. Just like that. So all I did was take my X-Acto blade and just crease in the corners, which cut some of the wires, and kind of bent it back down. And then that's it. So I am a little short right there. So I'll see if I can fix that. But before we do any of that, I want to get that one glued in place because it's in a great spot. So I just want to get that one glued down. All right. Let's get some of that excess glue out of there. Perfect. All right, so one side's done. So this other side I cut short. So I don't have enough length to cover the window. So I'll just go ahead and remove the whole piece, and I'll just put a new piece in place. And I just cut it out with an X-Acto blade, so it wasn't that complicated. But we'll cut a piece short. And let's see if it's long enough. Voila. So the top of it's a little jagged, so let's just cut that off and put it in place. That's pretty much how I hobby when I'm not streaming too, you guys. I just talk to myself a lot. I don't know if you guys talk to yourselves, but I do talk to myself. It does seem to be a little bit more enjoyable. All right. So from here, we're just going to let it all dry. And then I will get back to work on that once it's dry. But for right now, I need to clean all this up. Now I save all this stuff that I cut, because what I'll do is when I build terrain and I'm just trying to add some extra like debris and stuff, this stuff comes in real handy as just debris. I have an imaginary friend. Only way I can have an intelligent conversation around it. Oh, I hope Kim doesn't ever hear that one. Oh, she will come after you, Joe, and I don't want to have to be the witness on that one. Yeah, imaginary friends work too. I also saved these. I used it to mess around with the glue, and I just cut the tip off, and I'll save these. They come in handy for glue sticks or mixing sticks or just a variety of different things. Just nice to have. All right. Well, the last thing I want to work on this evening. Oh, okay. Okay. I'm glad you weren't referring to Kim on that one. Scared me for a second, Joe. Yes, the animals make it hard to have an intelligent conversation sometimes. So I airbrushed this. So when I painted this, I airbrushed the. His name is Bob. Yes. Bob. So this was all airbrushed, and I airbrushed the top white, and then I hit the whole model with a dull coat. Then I masked it all off, the top part off, and then hit it with it's a light blue. What did they call this blue? Ocean mist. So it's an ocean mist, but obviously you can tell I had a major gap in my tape. So I need to cover that back up and kind of get it all back in place. And I've got the rims painted. But boy, Mike, you just don't get it. I wasn't referring to the animal theater, but I guess. Thanks, Joe. Love you too, buddy. So anyways, I just want to touch some of that stuff up and just get it cleaned up, clean the edges up and stuff, and just make it look kind of finished. And then this is just going to be a present to my wife, because they didn't offer her the Bronco she wanted in the color scheme that she wanted anymore. So I figured I would just paint her one, because that's the kind of stuff I do. So I just need to do a little touch up down here. And then touch this up. So this is probably just going to take a couple coats to get a good smooth finish on it. And now that I put the magnifying glasses on, I can see all the other mess ups with my tape. So we will just go through and fix them all. What was that on my paint? Masking tape, God, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Obviously, magnifying this out, I can really see the mistakes. That just means my eyesight is really shot. So, I can see clearly now that there is. Yes, and I put my magnifiers on. So we'll just take our time. It's we don't have to rush. The big spot's going to be the hardest of them all. It's just going to take time. The detail stuff, I can cover that up pretty simply. It's just a matter of being patient, which is not something I'm really good at. I'm getting some pretty decent lines. And then we'll clean up the top here because, boy, I can see all those mistakes. Ooh, doesn't feel like the paint's quite dry. This was just some inexpensive Rust-Oleum paint from Walmart, and it does take a couple days for it to thoroughly dry. All right, and then we'll go over to the other side here. I must have just did a terrible job masking. Sorry. A little quiet because I'm just focused on the painting right now. All right. Looks like I got it all cleaned up. So I'll have to hit this spot probably a couple more times, but I'm gonna need to let it thoroughly dry in between coats. Otherwise, I'm just gonna end up causing rips in the paint, and it's just gonna look bad after if I don't let it dry between coats as I sit here and mess with it. So that's kind of where that's at right now. I'll just set that down right there. Clean the paintbrush off. All right, that's pretty much everything I was going to work on. I did want to show you guys this, David. I know you were talking about. I showed you guys my dice tray. As you can tell, I messed this one up a little bit. If you can see right there by the sword, I got a weird imperfection, and that was from my torch. Burning too late after the resin had kind of cured up a little bit. There was a bubble there, and I thought I'd hit it with my torch, and it really just melted the resin, and it's kind of ruined the finish. But what I wanted to show you on this one particular, David, is the image that I used down at the bottom was actually a photocopy off my printer. So it was just something I printed. So it's on a thick piece of paper, but it's still just a piece of paper. And you can see how messed up you can see all the glue and you can see dark and you got this really splotchy color underneath. So if you are going to make any of these, you're probably not going to be able to use just regular printer paper. Probably going to have to print on like a cardstock or something thicker to insert, or you're just going to have to use like photo images and things like that, kind of like what I did on the first one. It'll still be usable as a dice tray. It's just, I had the blemish, so obviously there's a working time with the resin. Well, thank you. Um, it still turned out good. And this was the lid. So when I made the original dice tray, this was a box. It was like a 4-inch deep box, and all I did was cut it in half. For my buddy Jason's dice tray, I just used the bottom of the box, cleaned up my cut lines and everything, and that was the bottom. Well, then for this one, what I did is I took the lid and I glued it. I burnt everything and sealed everything, but I just glued the lid down, and it just made more of a decorative look to it. But just so if you make these, obviously what you can see the difference. This was just, like I said, a something off my printer, just an image off my printer that I printed. It's for a book that's going to be coming out. And be careful with your torch, because you can see that blemish pretty bad right there by her hand, by holding onto the sword. That's just where I took the torch a little too late to it. After the resin had already started to cure. And again, I used the torch. I use this torch blue to get all the bubbles out. So after I pour the resin, I just take the torch and I just burn it. Well, I do it like 3 or 4 different times to try to, because the bubbles will keep coming up to the top. Obviously, I went one too far, so you just gotta be careful. So you actually like to look at the image. You should be able to sand that down. Yeah, I might be able to take some super, super fine sandpaper and sand that down. But to be honest with you, I'll probably just leave it alone. It's just going to be a dice tray, so it's not going to be the end of the world. I'm not selling it. I'm not giving it to anyone. I just made a dice tray. The image itself came from a magazine, a fanzine that is being released for one of the role-playing games. So I use this image just from that because I just wanted to celebrate the fanzine that's coming out. It's the first one they produced, so it's just kind of a tribute to that. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I might mess around with it with wet sandpaper and then maybe take some polishing compound and polish it back up. But for a dice tray, I don't know. We'll see. But it's just a decorative item. So anywho, let me switch cameras. I just wanted to share that with you, David, because I knew you were on and you talked about copying the dice trays. So this is just some of my experiences that I'm having. So when you do yours, just make sure the resin has a working time, and just make sure you pay attention to that working time, because I torched it a little late and it burnt the very top surface and made that imperfection. So and it was just me trying to be too, oh, there's a bubble. And that's just how things go with me, you guys. I get a little too much into it. All right. Well, thank you all very much for hanging out with me today. Should be, hopefully Jeff gets his internet back up and running, and we're good to go for a Wednesday night show on the Wolf's Den. We'll see. But I think it should be fine. He also is having problems with his cell phone. So just technology just wasn't his friend today. So we'll be back on Wednesday night for the Wolf's Den, and we'll just do some more hobby hangout. I got my MI guy that I'm working on and still working on those asteroids, and going to start painting up your spaceship, David. Got a kind of an idea of the colors that I want to use and things like that. So all in all, that's about it. So thank you all very much. Have a great night, and I'll see y'all on Wednesday night. Bye.